He kissed me tonight. Not because I asked. Because he needed to.
The mistress in my marriage. The most dangerous lies are the ones that sound reasonable. The ones wrapped in innocence. The ones that almost make you apologize for suspecting them. Daniel swore nothing was happening. He looked me in the eyes and said it calmly.
There's nothing inappropriate between Lila and me.
No anger. No hesitation. Just certainty. And somehow, that made it worse. Lila played her role perfectly. At work, she stayed professional. At home, Daniel spoke of her like a therapist. She listens, he said. She doesn't judge. She never crossed lines openly. She just stood close enough to make them invisible. I wanted to tell him everything. About the past. About the betrayal. About the woman he trusted. But the words stayed trapped in my throat. Because how do you explain that the enemy is someone you once loved? And how do you confess a sin that could destroy your marriage? I watched them from a distance. Their easy conversations. Their shared jokes. Jealousy burned in my chest. Then guilt followed close behind. Because years ago, I had done worse. And part of me wondered if this was justice wearing patience. One evening, Daniel said softly, I think you're imagining things, Amora. He took my hand. I love you. And for a moment, I believed him. Because innocent lies are powerful. They don't sound like lies at all. I never ask him to choose me. I don't need to. I just make sure he chooses me without realizing it. We stopped arguing. We stopped laughing. Our marriage existed in silence. And silence, I learned, is where betrayal grows best. One night, I asked him,
If I asked you to stop talking to her, would you?
He didn't answer immediately. That pause told me everything. That night, I sat alone in the dark. Because the truth had become clear. When a man has to insist nothing is happening, something already is. There comes a moment when doubt runs out of places to hide. When truth stops knocking and walks in uninvited. That moment found me face to face with her. I didn't need more signs. The scar, the laugh, the patience. But confirmation came unexpectedly. A mutual acquaintance from years ago mentioned her in passing. She moved back recently, they said. Changed her name. My chest tightened. Lila. There was no longer room for denial. I asked Daniel casually to invite her over for coffee. He hesitated, then agreed. That hesitation told me everything I needed to know. When Daniel stepped out to take a call, it was just the two of us. Silence stretched. Then I spoke.
Drop the act. I know who you are. I think you're mistaken. I've never met you before.
Her eyes were steady, professional, convincing. For a second, I almost believed her. I mentioned the scar. Her fingers twitched. Just once. Enough. She exhaled slowly. So,
I know the scar. So, you finally remembered. You ruined my life. And you moved on like nothing happened. I made a mistake. I was young.
She smiled.
Some mistakes change destinies. You took something from me once. I only came to collect.
I felt cold. Because it wasn't anger in her voice. It was certainty. She leaned closer.
You can expose me, but then you'll have to explain why your husband fell for me.
Her words sank deep. She wasn't threatening violence. She was threatening truth. When Daniel returned, she was smiling again. Perfect. Innocent. Untouchable. And I understood then. I hadn't discovered the enemy too late. I had underestimated her. There are moments in life that last only seconds, but divide everything into before and after. That night was one of them. Daniel hadn't planned to stay late. But the weight of everything. Work pressure, a silent marriage. Questions he didn't know how to answer. Collapsed on him all at once. And Lila was there. Quiet. Present. She didn't push. She didn't seduce. She listened as he spoke. About feeling unseen, unneeded, misunderstood. Her hand rested lightly on his arm. Not possessive. Reassuring. He leaned in before he realized he was moving. The kiss was brief. Soft. Confused. The kind that doesn't ask permission. Because it doesn't plan to exist. Then it was over. Daniel pulled back instantly.
This can't happen. I love my wife.
He said. Shame flooded his face. His voice shook. Lila didn't argue. She didn't cry. She simply nodded. I understand, she said. But her eyes told a different story.
He kissed me tonight. Not because I asked. Because he needed to. He pulled away. But it's too late. He's almost mine.
I felt it before I saw anything. The distance had shifted. Daniel avoided my eyes. His touch felt foreign. Something had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. When he came home, I hugged him. And I smelled her perfume. Subtle. Familiar. Devastating. I didn't ask questions. I didn't cry. Because some truths announce themselves without words. And that night, I knew my marriage had changed forever. Some truths don't set you free. They trap you. Because once you know them, every choice becomes dangerous. That was the night I found the diary. After the kiss, the silence between us thickened. Daniel moved like a man carrying guilt. Careful. Guarded. I stopped asking questions. Instead, I started watching. Because when lies grow quiet, truth leaves fingerprints. It happened by accident. Or maybe fate was tired of waiting. Daniel left his work bag at home one afternoon. I was returning it to the bedroom when something fell out. A small, leather-bound notebook. Plain. Unmarked. Heavy. I shouldn't have opened it. But my hands were already turning the page. Before my conscience could stop me. I waited years for this moment. My breath caught. I knew whose handwriting it was. I changed my name. My career. My city. Not to hide. But to return unseen. Page after page. Her intentions unfolded. This was never about love. It was about precision. She chose my husband. Because he was mine. She listened to him. So he would drift from me. She waited. So I would doubt myself. He kissed me. He stopped himself. That's how I know he's already gone. I closed the diary. My hands were shaking. Because the betrayal wasn't only hers. It was his. I sat on the bed for hours. The diary resting beside me. Like a loaded weapon. If I exposed her, Daniel's emotional affair would come to light. The kiss. The lies. The distance. My marriage would shatter. But if I stayed silent, she would win. That was when I understood. Silence wasn't weakness. It was leverage. She thought she was the only one playing a long game. She was wrong. That night, Daniel asked quietly, "Are you okay?" I smiled. "I'm fine." And for the first time, it wasn't a lie. Because I had something she didn't expect. The truth. I placed the diary back exactly where I found it. Not to protect her. Not to protect him. But to decide. How and when the truth would burn. Silence saved my marriage that night. But it gave my enemy permission. To go further. Betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from the people you expect to protect you. That was the day I realized love alone wouldn't save me.
I told him part of the truth. Only the part that would hurt her. Only the part that would free me.
She was my best friend, Lila said softly. I trusted her. She knew I loved him. She took him anyway. Her voice trembled at the right moments. Her tears fell on cue. She didn't lie. She edited. Daniel listened in silence. The story fit too neatly. It explained Amora's fear. Her guilt. Her sudden restraint. He wanted to deny it. But doubt is louder when truth arrives late. That night, Daniel looked at me differently. Not with anger. With uncertainty. Is it true? He asked. Did you betray her? The room felt smaller. I answered honestly, yes. I tried to explain that it was years ago, that I had changed. But repentance sounds weak when spoken under suspicion. And regret doesn't erase consequences. I didn't have to touch him. I didn't have to beg. All I needed was to let truth do what it does best. Destroy trust. Daniel moved into the guest room, not because he loved her, but because he no longer knew me. And I finally understood. Love cannot survive without belief. Narration, steady, resolved. That night, I stopped crying, stopped pleading, stopped hoping love would fix this. Because love had brought me here. Strategy would take me out. As I stared at my reflection, one truth settled deep inside me. If I didn't fight back, I wouldn't just lose my marriage, I would lose myself. Revenge promises justice, but it never tells you the price. By the time the truth came out, we had all paid something we could never get back. I waited for her in the empty conference room, the same place where my marriage had slowly bled out in silence. She arrived calm, too calm. You wanted to see me, she asked. I placed the diary on the table. I know everything.
So she found it. The pages that carried my anger, my patience, my years of becoming someone else. I didn't deny it. I planned it.
There was no point anymore. Yes, I said. I planned it.
I never wanted him, not the way you think. I wanted you to feel what I felt when you took him from me.
Her eyes softened, not with mercy, but exhaustion.
You won.
I whispered. She shook her head.
There are no winners.
Daniel walked in. He saw the diary, the tears, the truth sitting between us like a corpse.
What is this?
He asked. She answered before I could. She told him everything. The stolen lover. The years of resentment. The calculated return. She didn't twist the story this time. She told it clean. And that made it worse. Daniel felt betrayed by both women. One by the past. One by the present. He realized love had been used as a weapon. And no one walked away untouched.
My marriage survived. But survival is not restoration. Trust had cracks. Laughter felt cautious. Silence carried memories. We chose counseling. We chose honesty. But innocence never returned.
She resigned 2 weeks later. No farewell. No apology. Just absence. Months later, while packing old boxes, I found the diary again. One final entry remained. I read it aloud. Revenge doesn't heal. It only changes who you become. I live with the woman I used to be. I forgive the woman I became. And I choose every day not to become her again.